Hey guys, new video. This is going to be a video talking about my favorite RPG battle systems. It's not going to be too long, I mainly wanted to do this video to get like your guys' input, like what are some of your favorite battle systems in an RPG. I was thinking of doing like a top 10 or top 5 list, but I figured I'm going to play some more RPGs before I do a list like that. So I wouldn't expect like a list like that at least for a few years. The reason I decided to do this video was because I just finished a game pretty recently, and that's Radiant Historia. I'm probably not going to do an impressions video on this, and the reason I bring RPG battle systems up is this is the first game in quite a long time where I just hated the battle system. I'm probably going to get some dislikes for this. I don't know, like the battle system in this game, I guess I'll talk briefly about Radiant Historia here instead of doing an impressions video before I get to the main topic of the video, but like the battle system in this game is not inherently bad, I don't think. It's just not my thing. Every time I had seen this game gets a lot of praise. Every time I saw the battle system of this game, it never looked appealing to me. I gotta say, it always looked to be really slow and boring, and then when I finally played this game, the battle system is very slow and boring to me. Like it's one of those battle systems where, like, it's based on positioning your enemies, which I don't know. I just didn't find it that fun. In fact, I basically playing this game. It took me 35 hours to finish. I was running away from enemies for most of the game because it's got this really annoying like thing where it doesn't have random encounters. The enemies are on the map, but they're incredibly fast and difficult to avoid, and just hitting them once with your sword won't stun them outright. Like, you have to hit them like 5 times to stun them to get around them, and it's very hard to tell when they're going to be coming up, like the enemies, because there's no mini-map in this game, which was very frustrating. I hated battling in this game so much that I just avoided combat whenever I could. I ran away from enemies constantly, and because of that, I was very underleveled throughout the entire game. I was a good like 10 levels lower than I was supposed to be for most of the game, and a lot of the boss battles, I struggled with them. And yeah, a lot of the enemies and bosses towards the end of this game had like ridiculous amounts of HP and did ridiculous amounts of damage. I was still able to get through this game because even though I didn't like the battle system, everything else I loved. The story is fantastic. I loved switching through the different timelines. The main character, Stock, is one of my favorite RPG protagonists in a long time. Every decision he makes is so smart. Like, he's just, I don't know, he's like, everything he does is just, is smart. Like, he's a very smart protagonist. So, like, I love the music. The music was fantastic. There wasn't much of it, but the music was great. Yoko Shinomura, one of my favorite composers, she did great here. I love the visuals. The environments I thought were kind of generic, and there's a little too much backtracking for my tastes. I didn't do all of the side quests. I mean, there's still a lot of content here if you want to go for it, but I finished this game. It's a mixed bag to me because as much as I love the story and characters, the battle system I just hated all the way through. It's just wasn't for me at all. In fact, the last time I can think of hating a battle system this much was the last story, which my opinion is still like that was a messy, awful battle system. Like, I don't think the battle system here is bad. I can see why a lot of people would like it. There is definitely strategy to it. The beach battle kind of plays out like a puzzle, and I hate puzzle games, so maybe that's one of the reasons why I wasn't able to get into the battle system. Well, that and the battle's just taking way too long. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this game as much as I was hoping to, because the battle system was just so agonizing for me. Every time I got into a battle, I was so fucking pissed off. I was just like, fuck, I just want to run away, get this over with. Some of the boss battles were pretty fun, but yeah, that's enough about Radiant Historia. But it got me thinking, well, why don't I do a video talking about like what battle systems I really love, because battle systems in general can, for me, a lot of times can bring up a game to, like, the rest of the game can be bad, but if it's got an amazing battle system, I can push through it, and I'll love a game. Likewise with Radiant Historia. If the rest of the game wasn't so good, I would have dropped it like 8 hours in. And there was many times playing the game where I was ready to just shelve it, because the battle system I just did not care for. So I guess right now I'll get started on talking about some of my favorite battle systems. Um, I guess I'll start with Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I love the Mario RPG battle systems ever since Super Mario RPG all the way up to like Mario and Luigi Dream Team. I just love like the action based they're turn based battle systems, but like with timed hits where you've gotta press the attack button before you hit an enemy and before the enemy hits you, and you can dodge attacks and take less damage or do more damage to enemies. I think like that adds so much for me to those battle systems. But Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, it still had those like Paper Mario's battle system, for instance, where you had the timed hits and stuff like that. But it had an audience system, which I thought was really creative, where you have this audience where the better you do in a battle system, they might throw some items up on the stage to heal your party members, or they might attack the enemies with hammers and whatnot. And the further you get into the game, the bigger this audience grows. I thought that was such an awesome mechanic, and it really made you want to do better in the battles. And so you combine that with like the timed hit system and just the general humor the game had, and all the creative battles and boss fights and strong RPG elements. It's still, out of all the Mario RPGs, that's the one to me, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, that felt the most like a full-fledged RPG. It was just a really engrossing, addictive battle system that I loved all the way through. And it makes me want to play the game again. It's out of all the games I've been thinking of replaying over the years, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is the one I want to play the most, because I haven't played it since it came out on the GameCube. But I fucking love that game, and it's easily my favorite battle system in a Mario RPG. In that series, I have always loved the battle systems in those games. Another great battle system is Grandia, which I played fairly recently. And Child of Light's battle system is very similar to this, where you can see the enemy's turn orders and you can interrupt enemy attacks, and it's a very fast-paced turn-based battle system. Again, I don't want to say I've talked about Grandia before in my video, but it's a well-loved battle system, and for good reason. It remained fun throughout. Xenogears, I've heard. I don't hear too many people saying the battle system is great with Xenogears. So maybe I might be alone on this, but I fucking loved the Xenogears battle system. I loved how it was like a dual battle system where you had your on-foot combat, which was based on stringing together combos, which I thought was really fun. And then you had the gear combat where you had your gears, where you had to refuel your gears and things like that. Which again, I liked the kind of the two battle systems together. It kept things fresh, and I don't know. There was a good challenge to Xenogears too. Like the battle system was always engaging. I liked how you really had to. There's a lot of strategy involved when considering the boss battles. So I don't know. I really like Xenogears' battle system. I don't know. I might be alone on that. Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger both have fantastic battle systems. I don't think much more needs to be said there. They're known to have fantastic battle systems. The Ys games, which are games I haven't played. I just started playing the Ys games not too long ago. Oath and Felghana, for instance, was fantastic. Really fast-paced, snappy combat. I loved getting into different weapons and then having your skills. Really epic, challenging boss battles. I'm curious to see what Ys 7 and Memories of Celceta are like with the character switching, and what is that going to add to the combat? Am I going to like that, or am I not going to like that? But I really love like the real-time action-based combat of the Ys games. The Tales games, of course, are known for their really action-packed battle systems. If I had to pick a favorite, Tales of Vesperia, honestly. A lot of people would probably say Tales of Grace is F. I don't know, there was something about Tales of Vesperia's battle system that just really hooked me. I don't know, it's hard to say why. Maybe just because everything else about that game I loved so much. The combat was just as good as all Tales games have been. Well, I guess there's a few that aren't so great, like Legendia's combat's not that great. Fantasia's I'm not big on, but again, like that fighting game battle system almost, with the free movement. And well, that actually I want to lead from that into the Star Ocean games, which I've only actually played Star Ocean 3 and 4. I still need to play the first two, which I know are considered the best in the series, but I want to talk about Star Ocean The Last Hope, the fourth one. Now, this has my favorite battle system in any action RPG. In fact, there's only one game I can think of that I think has a better battle system for me, in my opinion. Now, Star Ocean 4, the story, the characters, the writing, the voice acting, horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But the battle system in this game was fucking incredible, and is what pushed me through the game. I put in, I want to say like 200 hours into Star Ocean: The Last Hope, which is insane, and a lot of that had to do with the battle system. I wanted to get all this extra optional content and fight the 2 optional bosses. The Ethereal Queen, I wasn't able to beat her. I only got to her once because the dungeon that you have to do to get to her is such a pain in the ass and takes forever. And it was a crazy fight. Like, my guys were maxed out. Like, I maxed out my levels in Star Ocean: The Last Hope. I got to like levels, I think it was what, 255 with all my characters, and I still couldn't beat her. Like, that's how hard this boss was. I got pretty far into it. I fought her for at least 20 minutes. She was probably almost dead too, and I couldn't keep up. I eventually lost, but you know, like the Tales games, it's almost like a fighting game system. Though the Star Ocean games, Star Ocean 3 and 4 at least, always felt a lot faster to me, and just a tad less sluggish than the Tales games. I like the skill system a bit better in Star Ocean 4 as well. The characters each played completely differently from the rest, and each had their own different fighting style. You had a cool blindside system where you had to like get in behind the enemies, because it was like a free roam kind of battle system where you could run around and kind of get up to the enemies. Like, it wasn't on a 2D plane. And going for the battle trophies really made you appreciate the battle system, because it encouraged you to experiment with it. And by the end of the game, like, I was efficient with every character, and it was so much fun trying to get these battle trophies because the battle system was just so much fun. Very challenging. Eventually, later in the game, it's like you have so many skills that it's like, it's almost sensory overload later in the game, which I really loved. I mean, it can get a bit skill spammy at times, I got to admit, but I mean, the battle system is just pure fun, man. Like, it never got old. It never got repetitive. So I don't know, I really loved Star Ocean 4's battle system, and in fact, I have to recommend that game purely because of the battle system. Well, and the exploration. I really like the exploration of that game, just going to all the different planets. But yeah, everything else about it's pretty bad, but the battle system just really stood out to me. And even like the newest Tales game, Exilia, the battle system to me paled in comparison to Star Ocean 4. I guess I'm gonna end the video soon, because I do want to hear more about like your guys' opinions on your favorite battle systems. But I got to mention the SMT series, which all 3 games I've played in this series have had fantastic battle systems. I'm gonna give it to SMT4 as my favorite though, and this is easily my favorite turn-based battle system so far. The press turn system, where you gotta figure out enemies' weaknesses and use skills that will do more damage to them and allow you to gain extra turns with your other characters. The battle system in SMT4 is just so fast-paced for being a turn-based battle system, and figuring out the weaknesses is so fun to me. And then, of course, you got the demon fusing system that adds so much variety and experimentation. Again, that battle system just never got old to me. And then, of course, you have the wonderful challenge that the game has. And I was thinking of, like, do I like Persona 4's battle system or SMT 4's more? And Persona 4's battle system is pretty much just as good. But I have to give it to SMT 4 simply because Persona 4 has that main character, when your main character dies, you get game over, which I fucking hate that. Like, that's the only thing dragging down that combat to me in Persona 4. And I really hope Persona 5 gets rid of that. Like, I just don't see the point in something like that. Like, it's just stupid. But SMT4's battle system was just amazing. Devil Survivor Overclocked had an amazing strategy RPG battle system where you got into turn-based fights, which had a more simplified version of the press turn system, but it was still enjoyable. I loved the Persona system of Persona 3 and 4. I know the SMT just press turn battle system in general across all the games. So far, easily my favorite turn-based battle system. And I got to end this video, I think, talking about my favorite combat system in any RPG. It might be cheating a bit because you don't go into a separate battle screen for these games. Of course, I gotta mention the Soul series, which, I mean, again, some of the most tactical, it's slow-paced combat, but it just feels so good, the combat in the Souls games. It feels, so realistic. but depending on what weapon you have, what magic you're using, if you're using pyromancy or any magic skill, how different it is. Like the variety to the combat, you know, just how brutal it is, how difficult it is, how you got to adapt to every single situation. And every single enemy. Again, I've talked about the Souls games so much. I'll just leave it there. But easily the best RPG combat I've played. Hell, easily the best combat I've played in any game. Some people will disagree, I'm sure. If you're not into slow, more methodical, tactical combat, you probably might not enjoy the combat in the Souls games. But I absolutely love the combat in those games. But that's it. I mean, there's so many RPGs I still need to play to see how good the battle systems are. Valkyrie Profile, I've heard, has an amazing battle system. A bunch of like PS2 and PS1 games. The Shadow Hearts Covenant, I've heard, with that Judgment Ring system. Which Lost Odyssey, there's another game that had an amazing battle system. But yeah, battle systems always something that I think is important with RPGs. If I don't like a battle system all that much, it's hard for me to keep playing a game. I mean, Final Fantasy 13, I've said before, I wasn't huge on that battle system, and that's, I think, what made me ultimately not like that game as much as some people. And also, like, Radiant Historia, I hated the battle system, so I come kind of feeling mixed on that game, despite loving pretty much everything else about it. But anyways, that's it, guys. Like I said before, what are some of your favorite RPG battle systems? What games do I need to play that have amazing battle systems? But yeah, that's it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.